Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with Aspergers Syndrome, OCD and the like. I also do some tips and advice along the way with your general health versus your mental health state, regardless what it may be, based on my life experiences and training, give and take, regardless of what it may be, of what you guys would like to hear based on my tips and advice. I also do along the way some of the Beauty from Ashes playlistings of certain everyday topics that we go through in our everyday life, no matter what it may be. Here's a classic examples: relationship problems, breakdowns, financial woes, and whatever else it may be, just to give you some wisdom and encouragement along the way, to give you some light into your world of what's going on with you. So it has been brought to my attention, as said, that there will hopefully be some more mental health kind of videos versus my obviously autism and series based on my life of an Aspie playlistings, as well as all these other listings that are autism related, because as we know, health and awareness is where I'm at with my status quo of what I do for my channel. So let's begin this, although this one's based on the Autism Spectrum Disorder and Communication series, which is also basically a part 2, which is the social communication and language characteristics associated with high functioning verbal children and adults with ASD. So hopefully you've learned something along the way of what I've shared so far, and give me that like with it by smashing that like so far of what I'm doing, to show engagement and also just to show that you're liking these. So let's begin this. As we know, basically I'm no medical professional, I'm just a normal everyday blog. This is a disclaimer just before I continue, and no matter what I share with you all, this is based on my life experiences. This is just some training, regardless what they may be. So if you see any warning signs and symptoms in regards to this topic or previous topics along, seek professional help for yourself or your loved one. So as I said before, individuals on the Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD as I usually abbreviate it down to for some medical terms, who are fluently verbal, aren't free of language and communication challenges in their everyday life, however, as they have their own personal struggles with this, no matter what it may be, even though it will vary from person to person, as I said. So the main reason, or the purpose of my video right now that I'm addressing to you tonight, is I hope and aim for myself is to help others in recognizing and understanding the subtle and not so subtle problems that may occur or may not occur in individuals with ASD, or just people similarly with learning disabilities or what have you. The presence or intensity of the following social communication and language characteristics of high functioning individuals with autism spectrum disorders may vary from age and person to person. And bear in mind, I'll be talking more about communication as well, based on this findings and my learning of what I've learned through my degree of what I was doing in business, and hopefully that we can learn something along the way. So bear with me on this. However, some of these characteristics are found in others who don't have an autism spectrum disorder. For example, they can be individuals with language or learning disabilities. With the ever increasing age and increasing communication competency for many individuals of any kind, most of these characteristics will lessen or disappear for those who don't have ASD. It is the frequency and persistence of some of these characteristics from childhood into adulthood that exemplifies the syndrome of autism. So the language characteristics that I'm going to break down to you is, although the ability to exchange meaningful messages is the heart of all communication, it is important to look at the characteristics of the language that is used to convey the messages around us. Individuals with autism spectrum disorder may show the following characteristics as follows. 1. Appear to have a good vocabulary and a sophisticated command of the language system based on their verbal utterances. In some instances, however, sophisticated language may reflect repetition of bits of dialogue that may have been heard or seen on television or in the conversation of others. This mitigated echolalia may or may not be used in some of the right or appropriate form of context. For the majority of individuals, the depth of meaning for specific words used may be restricted, and or the breadth of vocabulary may not be as expansive as some utterances may clearly suggest otherwise. Of course, some individuals may have an excellent verbal repertoire. Number 3. They will appear to have difficulty with figurative language or figurative speech, such as idioms, metaphors, similes, and irony. Number 4, they may appear to have difficulty recognizing in contextual or conversational kind of language or text print situations that may have certain vocabulary words that has alternative meanings. Number 5, they will appear to respond to suggestions, directions, or information in a very literal manner. Number 7, they will appear to have some difficulty grasping some of the main ideas that you are sharing with them, drawing some conclusions, and making any other inferences from the conversation, text, TV programs, and/or movies. Number 7, they appear to have difficulty understanding humour in certain television programs, movies, cartoons, animated and static, and just everyday interactions that we have in our everyday life with people. Number 8, appear to have difficulty with that WH questions forms such as the who, what, where, when, why, how, and many others. Number 10, appear to understand basic sentence structure, but may have more difficulty with more complex sentences that contain embedded and subordinate clauses. Number 11, may primarily attend to keywords rather than to the message conveyed by the grammar, or may also have difficulty understanding grammar and thus to resort to the keyword strategy. Number 12, will experience difficulties in reading comprehension if comprehension of their oral language is poor. Number 12, may not be connecting ideas to ideas from conversational text, for example, not connecting the content of one sentence to the next. Again, bear in mind everyone on the Autism Spectrum disorder scale will vary from person to person and age to age. Okay, the next section is social communication. As I said before, communication is a social act, and unless one is conducting a monologue with oneself, however, it does involve at least one other person to interact with one another. Sometimes within communication in a social situation for any person, this can be more challenging than just understanding the words of others. There are unwritten rules, however, that may govern these interactions and may change depending on the circumstances, on the surroundings and to whom they are talking to. The individual with ASD, however, may, with the following, have these kind of characteristics of social communication. 1. Have difficulty seeing another person's perspective, tendency to interrupt from their own point of view. This will impact social interaction and their understanding of perspective and narratives, whether it is in text, movies, TV format. Number 2, have difficulty understanding that other people have unique thoughts, ideas, and personal motivation. Number 3, give no or minimal eye contact during an interaction. Eye contact may be distracting or provide more sensory information than can be useful or processed by the person that has ASD. Number 4, speaks too loudly or too fast unless taught about the needs of their own communication partners. Number 5, having difficulty staying on topic. They may be easily distracted by association, cued by their own words or their own dialogue, or even dialogues of others when communicating. Five, deliver monologues, lectures, or lessons about a favourite topic rather than to allow or participate in reciprocal involvement with a communication partner. Number 6, talk aloud to self in public situations and they are unaware that others can hear the context of the self-talk and make judgments about them based on what they have heard. Number 8, having difficulty attending to an auditory message if stressed, agitated, or highly stimulated, hence the word sensory overload. Number 10, make statements that are factually true but socially inappropriate because of the lack of awareness of the impact of their own statements onto others. Number 11, not know strategies to initiate, terminate, or facilitate an everyday conversation. 11, I could be counting wrong, bear with me. Have difficulty understanding the significance of another's role and the need to adjust topic, the vocabulary, grammar, and tone of conversation accordingly. They may address an authority figure in the same fashion as a peer or even a TV video watched or mates do. having difficulty knowing that they have the responsibility to give the communication partner sufficient information to understand the message that they're trying to project. In addition, they may have difficulty summarising what information the partner already has and what new information is needed in that conversation. Can't monitor their own comprehension of the incoming messages and therefore doesn't seek clarification when needed. Seek to promote an inflated or positive self-image by using pseudo-sophisticated language. Sometimes the strategy is used to mask the degree of underlying comprehension problems that the person may really experience during their daily living situations or within everyday school activities or wherever they may be. Lie with the intent of getting people to leave them alone rather than with an intent to deceive or manipulate. In general, isn't effective at deception. Exhibit good recall of people's names, facts, and or trivial information. Often the depth of knowledge about a topic may be superficial. Utilize on occasion odd behavior or communication patterns for more appropriate verbal social communication. This might include non-verbal means of communication such as aggression, passivity, pacing, self-stimulation, self-abusive behaviors, or echolalia. They may talk about unusual topics such as fans and the Weather Channel because they find the topic fascinating. The display of the knowledge may take place irrespectively of their interest to the communication partner in the topic. They might be non-selective about appropriateness of time, place, and the person to whom to discuss these certain topics. Being persuasive or bothersome on limited topics. May ask repetitive questions. People with ASD, however, will obviously desire social interaction but has difficulty knowing how to initiate and maintain a friendship with one another. Experience difficulty recognizing the lies, deceptions, and mischief of others. Miss non-verbal cues of others and nuances in social situation. May be taught to recognize some instances. Lack of repertoire or have difficulty selecting and applying appropriate social communication strategies in everyday situations. Recognizes and identifies basic emotions of others and self, be it mad, happy, sad, but has more difficulty with recognizing more subtle expressions of these feelings or emotions that is entailed. Having difficulty recognizing, identifying, and understanding various other states of emotion expressed by others and what to say in that given situation. Having difficulty making predictions about the consequences of a situation. Understanding of the motivation of others will usually be very concrete and socially naive. Having difficulty multitasking, example, talking or listening while doing something else at the very same time. May need to do one thing at a time. So the question is obviously, what is communication? To me, communication is simply an act of transferring information from one place to another or one form of media to another. Regardless, you've got a sender and a receiver. Even though I'll be having hopefully a diagram to illustrate this clearly of this to give you guys a clarity or better understanding of what I'm clearly addressing here to my knowledge and understanding. Although this is a simple definition, when we think about how we may communicate, the subject becomes a lot more complex. There are various categories of communication in more than one way that will occur at one given time. There are two types of communication we use in our everyday lives, and that is non-verbal communication versus your verbal communication. The process of interpersonal communication, however, can't be regarded as such as a phenomenon which simply happens, but should be seen as a process which involves participants negotiating their roles in this process, whether consciously or unconsciously. Hence what I said before, the receiver versus the sender. Senders and receivers are, of course, vital in communication, be it in face-to-face communication. These roles of the sender and receiver aren't distinct, as both parties communicate with each other, even if it is in very subtle ways, such as through eye contact or lack of, as well as the general body language. There are many other subtle ways that we communicate, perhaps even unintentionally, with others. For example, the tone of our voice can give clues to our mood and emotional state, whilst hand signals or gestures can add to a spoken message, as well as our body language However, on the other hand, in written communication, the sender and receiver are most distinct. Until recent times, however, relatively few writers and publishers were very more powerful when it came to communicating in the written word. Today we can all write and publish our ideas either online or on paper, which has led to an explosion of information and communication possibilities. The desired outcome or goal for any means of communication process is understanding, though, just a clear note. Why is it important to communicate? Effective communication is an important life skill that we have to do, that enables us to better understand and connect with people around us, as well as in any given environment wherever we are in, be it in schools, offices, work, wherever. This allows us to build respect, trust, resolve differences, and foster environments where problem solving, caring, affection, and creative ideas that can therefore thrive. Why do we communicate? There are three primary reasons to why people communicate. They are to make or maintain relationships, to share or receive information, and to persuade. Communication is done with any combination of spoken words, written text, non-verbal sounds, physical gestures, be it your body language is clearly addressed, and facial expression. The communication process. A message or communication is sent by the sender through a communication channel to a receiver or to multiple receivers. The sender then must encode the message, the information that has been conveyed or understood, into a form that is appropriate for the communication channel. That will then be sent to the receiver, that decodes the message to understand its meaning and its significance. Misunderstanding can occur at any stage of the communication process or some form of barrier, be it the noise or whatever else it may be, clearly addressed obviously in that diagram below or above me. Effective communication involves minimizing potential misunderstanding, overcoming any barriers to communication at any stage of the communication process. An effective communicator, however, understands their audience, chooses an appropriate communication channel, hones their message to this channel, and encodes the message to reduce misunderstanding by the receivers. They will also seek out feedback from the receiver as to how the message is understood and attempt to correct any misunderstanding or confusion as soon as possible. Receivers can use techniques such as clarification or reflection as effective ways to ensure that the message was sent and has been understood effectively and correctly. In communication, clarification involves offering back to the speaker the essential meaning as understood by the listener of what they have just said, thereby checking that the listener's understanding is correct and resolving any areas of confusion or misunderstanding through this communication process. Clarification. As said, clarification is important in many situations, especially when what is being communicated is difficult in some way. Communication can be difficult for many reasons. Perhaps sensitive emotions are being discussed, or you are listening to some complex information or following instructions. This video hopefully will provide some dialogues and examples for you all today of clarification, how you can use this simple technique to improve your communication skills. The purpose of clarification is to 1. Ensure that the listener's understanding of what the speaker has said is correct, reducing misunderstanding. Reassure the 2. Reduce the speaker that the listener is genuinely interested in them and is attempting to understand what they are saying. 3. As an extension of reflecting, clarifying reassures the speaker that the listener is attempting to understand the messages that they are expressing. Clarifying can involve asking questions or quickly summarizing what the speaker has just said. A listener can ask for clarification when they can't make sense of the speaker's responses. Sometimes the messages that a speaker is attempting to send can be highly complex, involving many different people, issues, places, and or times. Clarifying helps you to sort these out and to also check the speaker's priorities. Through clarification, it is impossible for the speaker and the listener to make sense of these often confused and complex issues. Clarifying involves genuineness on the listener's part, and it shows speakers that the listener is interested in them and into what they have to say. Some examples of non-directive clarification sequence can be of the following. I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying. I don't feel clear about the main issue here. When you said ... what did you mean? Could you repeat ... Clarifying involves non-judgmental questioning, summarizing and seeking feedback as to its accuracy, clarification questions to think about. When you are the listener in a sensitive environment, no sort of non-directive questioning can enable the speaker to describe their viewpoint more fully to you. Asking the right question at the right time can be crucial and comes with practice and at ease. The best questions are open-ended questions, as they give the speaker the choice in how to respond, whereas closed questions only allow very limited questions. Open questions. If your role is to assist a speaker to talk about an issue, often most times than not, most effective question starts with the 5 ones I've mentioned: the who, what, where, when, and why. These questions encourage speakers to be open and expand on their thoughts. For example, when did you first start feeling like this? Why did you feel this way? On the other hand, however, with closed questions, this will elicit a yes or a no response, and don't encourage speakers to be open and expand on all their thoughts, such as such questions often begin with did you or were you. For example, did you always feel this way? Were you aware of this feeling? Tips for clarifying. Clarification is the skill we use to ensure that we have understood the message of the speaker in an interpersonal exchange. When using clarification, you can follow these guidelines as addressed to what I'm sharing with you all tonight to help aid communication and understanding. 1. Admit if you are unsure about what the speaker means. 2. Ask for repetition. 3. State what the speaker has said as you understand it and check whether that is what they really meant and said. 4. Ask for specific examples. 5. Use open, non-directed questions if and when appropriate. 6. Ask if you've got it right and be prepared to be corrected. 6. Summarizing. As a further extension to clarification, a summary involves reviewing what has taken place during the whole conversation that you had with that particular someone. It is important to keep only the essential components of the conversation, and it must be given from the speaker's frame of reference, not an interpretation from the listener's viewpoint. The aim of a summary is to review understanding, not to give explanation, to judge, to interpret, or provide any solutions whatsoever. Summarizing should be done at the end of the conversation, however, although sometimes it may be appropriate midway through as a way of drawing together different threads and conclusions. At the start of a conversation, it is useful to summarize any previous discussions or meetings as it can help to provide focus. Whilst the summary is likely to be the longest time for a listener that will be speaking during a conversation, it is important to be as concise and straightforward as possible. However, on the other hand, reflecting, no matter however good you think you are in your listening skills capability, the only person who can tell you if you have understood correctly or not is the speaker. Therefore, as an extension of good listening skills, you need to develop the ability to reflect words and feelings to clarify that you have said them correctly. It's often important that you and the speaker will agree that what you understood is a true representation of what was meant to be said and how it was said, so on and so forth. As well as understanding and reflecting the verbal messages from the speaker, it is important to understand the emotions. This video again will explain how to use reflection effectively to help you build greater understanding of not only what is being said, but the context, feeling, and meaning of the messages. So, what is reflecting? Reflecting is the process of paraphrasing or restating both the feelings and the words from the speaker. The purposes of reflecting are to allow the speaker to hear their own thoughts and focus on what they say and feel. 2. To show the speaker that you are trying to perceive the world as they see it and that you're doing your best to understand their own messages. 3. To encourage them to continue talking. 4. Reflecting doesn't always involve you asking questions, introducing a new topic, or leading the conversation in other directions. Speakers are helped through reflecting as it not only allows them to feel understood, but it also gives them the opportunity to focus their ideas. This in turn helps them to direct their thoughts and further encourage them to continue speaking. There are 2 main different types or techniques of reflecting. 1 is mirroring. Mirroring is a simple form of reflecting and involves repeating almost exactly what the speaker says. This should be short and simple. It's usually enough to just repeat key words or the last few words spoken. This shows that you are trying to understand the speaker's terms of reference and acts as a prompt for them to continue. Be aware not to over-mirror, as it can become really irritating and therefore a distraction from the message trying to be shared. 2. Paraphrasing. Paraphrasing involves using other words for what the speaker has said. Paraphrasing shows not only what you are listening, but that you are attempting to understand what the speaker is saying. It's often the case that people hear what they expect to hear due to assumptions, misunderstandings, stereotyping, or just prejudices. When paraphrasing, it's of the utmost importance that you don't introduce your own ideas or question the speaker's thoughts, feelings, or actions. Your responses should be non-directive and non-judgmental. It's very difficult to resist the temptation to ask questions, and when this technique is first used, reflecting can seem very stilted and very unnatural. You need to practice the skill in order to feel comfortable. Reflecting content, feeling, and meaning. The most immediate part of a speaker's message is the content. In other words, these aspects dealing with information, actions, events, and experience is verbalized by them. Reflecting content helps to give focus to the situation, but at the very same time, it's also essential to reflect the feelings and emotions expressed in order to fully understand the message. This helps the speaker to own and accept their own feelings, for quite often a speaker may talk about them as they belong to someone else. For example, using "you feel guilty" rather than "I feel guilty." A skilled listener will be able to reflect a speaker's feelings from body cues, non-verbal, as well as the verbal messages being conveyed and listened to. It is sometimes not appropriate to ask such direct questions as, "How does that make you feel?" Strong emotions such as love and hate are easy to identify, whereas other feelings such as affection, guilt, and confusion are much more subtle these days. The listener must have the ability to identify such feelings both from the words and from the non-verbal cues, for example, body language, tone of voice, etc. Reflecting needs to combine content and feeling to truly reflect the meaning of the speaker, what the speaker has said. For example, speaker: "I just don't understand my boss. 1 minute he says one thing and the next he says the opposite." Listener: "You feel very confused by him." Reflecting means allowing the listener to reflect the speaker's experiences and emotional response to those experiences, as clearly illustrated just now. This will link the content and feeling components of what the speaker has said. Tips for reflecting are: 1. Be natural. 2. Listen for the basic message. Consider the content, feeling, and meaning expressed by the speaker. 3. Restate what you have been told in simple terms. 4. When restating, look for non-verbal as well as verbal cues that confirm or deny the accuracy of your paraphrasing. Note that some speakers may pretend you have got it right because they feel unable to assert themselves and may disagree with you. Number 5. Don't question the speaker unnecessarily. 6. Don't add the speaker's meaning. 7. Don't take the speaker's topic into a new direction. 8. Always be non-directive and non-gentle. Easier said than done, but hopefully along with these tips, this will be of valid in use to you. Well, this quickly ends Autism and Communication Part 2. Give me the like for thumbs up for support and engagement. Comment below. Feel free to follow me through my social media sites. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't done so for new content.